broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. This edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by Alien Gear Holsters. AlienGearHolsters.com.
Welcome to episode 160 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challand, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. Well, only 15 weeks left of my dreaded
This job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
That's right. My Independence Day came a little bit early, about 15 weeks early, because I walked in my boss's office and handed him that letter of resignation effective immediately, because
This job and shove it. I ain't working here
anymore. So I'm done with my dreaded day job. I'll probably talk a little more about that in a later episode. But for now, Ryan still is going to put together some great episodes for you guys. He's already got a few in the can, and I'm going to continue to focus on growing my Amazon business because I quit my day job a little bit prematurely financially. Everything else was just telling me it was the right time to do it. So I went ahead, pulled that trigger, and now I am free, which is amazing. So thank you guys so much for your support, for your kind words, and for continuing to listen to Gun Guy Radio and the Firearms Radio Network. I am so excited. I have much more time to put into the network, and I will be going to NRA show here in Nashville here in just about 3 weeks. So if you guys are going to be at the NRA show, annual meetings here in Nashville, I'd love to see you there. I'll be there the entire show. We're doing a listener meetup that Saturday night. I think it's Saturday the 11th, I believe, in Nashville. We'll be meeting probably at a bar or restaurant just down the street from the convention center. So stay tuned for more times and places for the listener meetup. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know what was going on and that I finally... So thank you so much again, and Ryan, take it away.
Thanks, Jake, and congratulations. Welcome to episode 160 of Gun Guy Radio. This is going to be a solo show this week with just me, but it's going to be a topic I really enjoy discussing, so it should go pretty good. First off, like Jake said, we will soon be going to the NRA Show 2015 in Nashville, so be sure to keep your eyes open for the details on the listener meetup. That's going to be on the FRN Facebook page and on the shows as well. There'll be some announcements there. One of the big things that we just will probably take a look at there is going to be the highly anticipated Glock 43 that was just announced last week. Now, for me, the introduction of the Glock 43, it's a mixture of, being very excited to see that Glock finally sort of listened to what people wanted, but then also a little bit of disappointment, and I'll kind of tell you why. Now, when the Glock 42 was announced, there was sort of a collective groan from many people. Why was it in 380? Why is it so big for a 380? Why didn't they just chamber it in 9mm? Well, I was one of those people. I looked at the guns that in 380 that were like the size of the Ruger LCP, and I said to myself, Glock, what are you thinking? I made assumptions before I even handled the gun, and that was honestly wrong on my part, and I swore up and down that Glock would be shooting themselves in the foot by chambering the gun in 380. I said it was too big, and there were smaller, slim 9mm on the market out there, like the Car and the Ruger guns, that were just as big as this 380. So The first time that I handled one, though, I was pretty surprised. The gun was markedly smaller than I had imagined or had noticed in the pictures. And shooting the gun also affirmed that I was wrong in my initial assumption. It was a fun, accurate little handgun. I guess there were some teething issues with some rounds that would prematurely lock the slide back, but that was that was atypical of the Glock functionality, but it seems those issues have really been worked out. I have noticed something strange, however. The Glock 43, it was one of the most highly anticipated handgun releases in recent years, but I've found a lot of people are already criticizing the gun for being too large, too blocky, too expensive. Now, to the blocky complaint, I say, you're buying a Glock and that's their shape, and you really should know what you're getting into. I mean, there's really no surprises there. But speaking to the size of the gun, the other two complaints actually are quite valid. You're looking at the spec sheet for the Glock 43, and it shows it's a bit larger than some of the small single-stack 9mm handguns out there. It's markedly bigger than my Car CM9, yet it holds the same number of rounds. So the slim subcompact 9mm handguns, for me at least, are strictly pocket guns. If I'm going to be carrying something on my belt, it's going to be a larger handgun with higher capacity. The Glock 43 or any of the single-stack 9mm of that size would not be a belt gun for me. The CM9's on the very edge of being almost too large for some pants pockets, so I'm a little bit concerned that the people who buy the Glock 43 and want to pocket carry it with a proper holster, of course, they may have some trouble with some different types of pants with smaller pockets and stuff like that. So it will be pretty interesting to see what the end users say once the gun does get in the pipeline. Now, the cost complaint also kind of concerns me. There are many manufacturers right now producing these single-stack 9mm at a far more competitive cost. And around my area, you can find, the Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm for around $400, maybe a little bit less. The Ruger LC9 and LC9S you can typically find for around $325 to $350 on average. It depends. The LC9S was a little bit harder to come by at first up here, but it's kind of gotten better. The MSRP of the Glock 43 as it stands right now is at $589. And that's awful high compared to other slim 9mm that are in this class. The Car CM series, they have an MSRP of $460. And granted, the Car CM series is their budget-priced polymer handguns. They have the other series, like the PM, which are the more refined models, but the CM is their lower-priced models, and they still work really good. And so what's the difference there that warrants such a large increase of the MSRP? I'll be interested to ask that when we go down to the Glock booth at the NRA meetings. However, the pre-orders that I've seen from a few different companies, few different distributors, states that the retail price will be $449 for civilians, and for law enforcement or military, it'll be $358. I believe that was from GT Distributors in Texas. So if they can maintain that price point and the gun runs reliably as its larger brothers, and I'm sure it will, it is a Glock, I'm sure they'll have a huge hit on their hands. I'm looking forward to seeing it at the NRA show in April, and really interested to see what the end users have to say about it once it gets into their hands. So with that, but wraps up the pre-show, pre-main topics, we're going to head into the main topic, pistol caliber carbines.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it!
All right, so we're into the main topic. Now, one hot topic of discussion a lot of the time is the pistol caliber carbine. Now, many people want to think that because the barrel is longer, the pistol caliber carbine, or the PCC, can replace a traditional long gun, firing a traditional rifle cartridge. This is one common misconception that definitely needs to be addressed. The pistol caliber carbine serves a good role in extending the reach of your chosen handgun cartridge, but it's smaller, it's lighter, and it's more handy than would be a rifle cartridge carbine. Now, this has become less of a disparity in recent times with the compact ARs and stuff like that. But the pistol caliber carbine is also good because they'll share the magazines with your chosen handgun. So, like the Sub 2000, you can carry a Glock handgun, and your Glock magazines for your sidearm will fit in the Sub 2000. So that definitely is one advantage right there. There was an article by Caleb Giddings where he was talking about pistol caliber carbines, and I'm going to quote him here. He says he loves the idea of the pistol caliber carbines the same way he loves the idea of the M1 carbine. A good pistol caliber carbine should be lighter than the average AR, 6 pounds or less. Take common pistol magazines, be accurate and reliable. So it basically would push your effective range maybe from 10 yards or so out to 50 yards or 75 yards or even 100 yards with the right cartridge. Typically, you're going to see a lot of people go with 9mm for their pistol caliber carbine, generally because, 9mm is typically the most popular pistol cartridge as well. Some people go with the 45, but generally it is the 9mm the most often. Some of the bolt action and lever action guns go with like the 357 Magnum or the 44 Magnum. But there's also a link in the show notes to ballistics by the inch. So as we talk about some of these cartridges, and you got to remember, you're using a longer barrel, 16 inches or maybe even a little bit more, and so you're going to have a lot different performance out of the cartridges you normally fire in your pistol. So maybe looking at the 357 here, on ballistics by the inch, a 16-inch barrel, Carbine 125 grain jacketed hollow point is going to be going 2,119 feet per second, as opposed to, out of a 4-inch barrel, 1,496. And then if you step it up to the Federal 158 grain jacketed hollow point, out of a 16-inch barrel, you're going about 1,739 feet per second, as opposed to 1,293 in a 4-inch barrel. So there is quite a jump. As some people do say, the cartridge just becomes a whole different animal. Now, moving to 9mm Luger, in the 16-inch barrel with your traditional, we'll say the 124 grain Hydra Shock. 16-inch barrel is going to be going 1,243 feet per second. In your typical service 4-inch or 5-inch barrel, you're looking at 1061 feet per second, in a 4-inch barrel with that 124 grain Hydra Shock. So there's quite a difference there as well. Some of the larger cartridges also do benefit from having that longer barrel. I know the 10mm, a lot of those carbines, that's a really attractive option. With a 16-inch barrel and a 180 grain Hydra Shock, you're getting 1,220 feet per second out of a 10mm carbine. So that is pretty nice. I have a few of them listed here in different categories. So you have semi-auto, non-semi-auto, then some of the classic favorites and the newer carbines based on the submachine gun platforms. I didn't really go into those too much because their utility is sometimes questionable. I know, like, they have the Thompson auto ordnance, and Carr does that Thompson with a really long barrel, and those are neat if you want them, as a piece of history, quote unquote, a replica for a Thompson. But in terms of their practicality as a light, handy carbine, which is really, to me, what a pistol caliber carbine should be, they're not really light and handy. They're actually really heavy. So more going to focus on the stuff that's really light and handy. So we'll start with the modern PCCs. All right, so the first one here we're going to talk about is the Beretta CX4 Storm. So it's a pistol caliber carbine aimed at the sporting, personal defense, and law enforcement markets. It was originally chambered in 9mm, but could also be had in 40, 45 ACP, and in its original caliber of 9x21 IMI. I guess the Beretta CX4 Storm is the civilian version of the MX4 Storm, the MX4 being the select fire version that was offered for the military. Now, the The CX4 has been manufactured from 2003 to the present time. It weighs 5 pounds. The barrel length is the overall length rather is 29 inches. It's got a 16.6-inch barrel, and it's blowback operated with 8, 10, 11, 14, 15, 17, 20, or 30 round box magazines with a 2-position aperture flip sight and a front adjustable post. So it was developed to be used in conjunction with Beretta semi-automatic pistols. The magazines for the 92FS chambered in 9mm can be used in the CX4, which aids in a smaller loadout. Now, I believe there was also some different conversions with the PX4 Storm and the Cougar magazines that was also manufactured by Beretta. The CX4 Storm includes a Picatinny rail that can be extended under the barrel by pushing in the sling button and pulling the rail out by a thumb tab. Each Storm also includes a side rail with 2 mounting screws. A second can be purchased along with a bottom rail from the manufacturer. The contoured bottom rail is designed to attach under the 2 side rails, and a top rail can also be purchased and installed with a tool that comes with a carbine. It comes from the factory with adjustable iron sights, and the stock on the CX4 has an adjustable length of pull using spacers. You're also, with your customization of the CX4, it's also you're able to switch the safety, the cocking handle, the ejection port, and the magazine release to the left side of the weapon to accommodate left-handed shooters. So the CX4 Storm is a really attractive, modern pistol caliber carbine. It looks really modern. It's very sculpted and swept back and has a big, large thumb hole stock. So this is definitely a good consideration if that's one you're looking for. The next one here, the Sub 2000, this is actually a really interesting one. They just actually came out with the Sub 2000 Gen 2, and it's basically a folding carbine from Kel-Tec, and really nice gun. I fired one of the original ones way, way back when I was a young kid. Really enjoyed shooting it. It has a nice kerchunk whenever you pull the trigger because the buffer tube runs in the buffer tube housing of the stock. And then you can actually, the bolt handle is in that tube, and you can lock it similar to the way you would lock the bolt handle on like a Sten or an MP40 submachine gun. So it folds down, and I believe it's only 16 inches long when it's folded. A really nifty little carbine. The only problem is it's really hard to find them oftentimes. Kel-Tec doesn't produce too many of them. So another attractive option is the High Point carbine, and the High Point. The pistols are always very, people kind of rag on them really bad. And the pistols look the way they do because that's the way that they function, their blowback. But the carbines actually do get quite a bit of respect, I've found, from a lot of people who would otherwise bash the handguns. Now, I believe they make the 995, which is their carbine, and... So chambered for 9x19, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP, and then they also recently introduced a 380 ACP. They're very inexpensive, constructing using polymers and alloyed metals as much as possible, and it functions just with simple blowback action. It comes with a 10-round magazine that fits into the pistol grip, and now aftermarket and third-party 15 and 14-round magazines are also available. The magazines are usable only with High Point firearms. Luckily, they're fairly cheap to find and generally pretty reliable from what I've heard. They weren't specifically aimed at police department use, but it has been approved and purchased by some local police departments that can't afford to outfit all their officers with more expensive long guns. So it is a really popular option there. And it does tend to be really reliable from what I've heard. It weighs 5.75 pounds. The length is 32 inches, and it has a 16.5-inch barrel. So if you really want a decent pistol caliber carbine for not very much money, the High Point is definitely one you should look at. Try to move past the pistols, however you may feel about them, and definitely take a good look at the carbines because they generally can be pretty good. And then the last one for the semi-automatic carbines, the Just Right carbines. Now these, some people think they are ARs. They look at them, they do look like ARs. They share the pistol grip, and they share a few other components, I believe the buffer tube, but I believe this is just a straight blowback action, and actually, so the buffer tube isn't really used, unless I'm mistaken here, but They use Glock magazines, and I guess they also make some that use M&P magazines. And this would be one I would be interested in. It's kind of disappointing that the functionality, I'm not sure if the trigger group is also exchange. I'm not sure if it's an AR-15 trigger group. That would be really cool because you could buy this carbine for not a huge investment and then put a really nice trigger into it and have a really nice pistol caliber carbine. So all these have links in the show notes, so be sure to go check those out. But that's definitely a good choice there.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
Now, moving into the next category, we have the classic pistol caliber carbines. We won't really discuss too much on the M1 carbine because that one really needs no introduction. Fires the .30 carbine, which technically isn't a pistol caliber pistol cartridge. It has been chambered in pistols before, but it originally was made for the carbine. So we'll move into the Marlin Camp carbine. Now, this is one of the ones I really, really like. It was manufactured from 1985 to 1999 by the Marlin Firearms Company. It was chambered for either 9mm Parabellum or 45 ACP, and it was just intended to be used around hunting camps, foraging, or defense. It operates by direct blowback, and the receiver was generally drilled and tapped for a scope mount, and the stock was made of walnut-finished birch. It used a detachable magazine that inserts into the magazine well in front of the trigger guard. The 45 ACP version is compatible with most Colt 1911 type magazines, and the Camp 9 rifle magazine was replaced by magazines from the 59 series Smith & Wesson pistols. The magazine well is sized for 12-round magazines, and then magazines with higher capacities extend beyond the bottom of the well. The Marlin Camp carbine, you can generally find them on the used market. They are pretty pricey, though, for a pistol caliber carbine. Looking on Gunbroker here, some of them, the minty ones, the really nice ones, are going for almost $700. Some of the other ones that are a little bit more used, the 9mm, still going for $650, $700. So they are very much sought after and definitely command a premium price because of that. Now, a similar carbine to that, and we'll kind of lump both of these together, are the Ruger Police carbine, the PC series, and the Ruger 9944 Deerfield carbine. Now, the Ruger PC series carbine, the police carbine, actually used the P series magazines, so you were getting that interchangeability like you did on the other firearms that we're talking about here, like the Beretta Storm. This one, the difference between the Ruger 9944 and the Ruger Police carbine is the 9944 used a rotary magazine instead of a detachable magazine. And the 9944 actually kind of reminds me of a scaled-up M1 carbine. It'd be really interesting to see the performance. Let's go over to ballistics by the inch and look at the 44 Magnum out of a 16-inch barrel. Let's see. A 200-grain gold dot from Speer at a 16-inch barrel is going 1377 feet per second. Out of a 6-inch revolver barrel, you're getting 1197. So almost 200 feet per second increase. That is, and with a 200-grain bullet. Moving to the 240, there's quite a bit of a difference. 1619 in the 16-inch barrel as opposed to 1380 in the 6-inch barrel. So you're getting quite a bit more performance out of that 240-grain Federal HydroShock. So the 9944 using that rotary magazine, definitely limited capacity. Also because magazine used the, I believe it was the one that was used on the 1022, that type of rotary magazine. So definitely one to check out there as well. Now, kind of moving towards the end here, the non-semi-auto carbines. So, really, there are two entries in this category. You have the Marlin, the Winchester, and the Rossi lever actions. All of understandably varying quality. Some, I guess, lately the Marlin lever actions haven't been very highly thought of. The Rossi ones are generally your budget-priced lever actions, but this is what a lot of people think of when they think of a pistol caliber carbine. They think of a lever action rifle chambered in 38 or 357 Magnum, sometimes 45 Colt, and or 44 Magnum, and that's what they think of when you think pistol caliber carbine. And these are nice because they have many different uses. You can they stay pretty handy. They're easy to handle when you're walking through the woods or something like that. That nice flat receiver gives you a nice place to hold. And I would definitely try to go with the Winchester, though those may not be very easy to find. I have heard that Rossi does a decent job on their lever actions, but I haven't really had any hands-on experience with them, so I can't really speak to that. So if I were to get a non-semi-auto carbine myself, I would probably go with the Ruger 77 357 or the Ruger 77 44 bolt-action carbines. Now, these are the 7744. It looks like it's still being made. It's in 44 Remington Magnum. You can get it in a black synthetic stock. It uses a rotary magazine, just like the old 9944 semi-auto did. It's got a similar bolt-action system to the 77, or actually the exact bolt-action system for the Ruger 77 rifles. Very strong, and I'm sure it would be able to handle any hand loads you guys could cook up for it. Really, really nice, handy rifle. And then also they have the 77 357, which is another one that I'm kind of interested in. I know my buddy would like to see one be suppressed, so I think that would be really cool. You wouldn't have to worry about would your cartridges cycle the action because it's a bolt action and the action doesn't open up when the round goes off. So I bet you that would be a really nice, quiet, suppressed varmint gun, or maybe a little bit bigger. And I would think it would make a really nice, handy hunting rifle, too, that 7744 with a 240 grain bullet. And I think that would be a nice, handy little rifle for short-range hunting. So definitely check those out. And then the last one here isn't really a carbine. It makes your handgun into a carbine, the MechTech CCU conversion unit. Now, these are really, really interesting because you can get ones for your Glock, you can get ones for your 1911, and you can basically turn your handgun into a carbine. The Glock one is available for most of the Glock models, the G17, 17C, 34, 19, 20, 40, 21, 22, 41, most of all those. And then they only recommend, I guess, using factory-loaded ammunition and do not use plus P plus or Hutter loads. So the MechTech CCU, you have the feed ramp, which you installed in there, and then you just install the top. Uses the M4 style stock on the back. Obviously, the buffer tube really doesn't do anything, but now I guess they're making them for the XDM as well, so that's really interesting. I hadn't known that they had started doing that, so be sure to go check that out. There's a link in the show notes for that. It's mechtechsys.com. So that about wraps up our discussion on pistol caliber carbines, so we're going to close out the show.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long-tail tees are three favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of Gun Guy Radio. Just remember the limitations of the pistol caliber carbine and know that you can get some really great performance out of your favorite pistol cartridges with this type of firearm. So just don't discount it, but understand what its uses are.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. hunterofdesign.com.
Hey, it's Jake here, just checking in here on Ryan, and I wanted to make sure that you're enjoying this episode of Gun Guy Radio. And if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/gun. What is Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying this show, you can go over to patreon.com/gun and pledge either $1 an episode or $5 an episode to, throw your support behind Pro Gun Radio like this. And also we have some companies that are throwing their support behind Gun Guy Radio by giving some gift cards and gear to send out in random battle boxes that go out to only our patrons here at Gun Guy Radio. Alien Gear Holsters have given $25 gift cards. Works Holsters have given $25 gift cards. LA Police Gear has given some bags, and Duluth Trading Company has given $50 gift cards. Not to mention Duke Cannon Supply Company has also given field box gift packs of big-ass bricks of soap, and GunGoddess.com has also included $25 gift cards. You can get all that and more in a random drawing of our battle boxes that we send out to the exclusive group of patrons of Gun Guy Radio. So walk, don't run over to Patreon. Wait, I said that wrong. Patreon.com/gun.
Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Gun Guy Radio. Please remember to subscribe to us in iTunes so that you never miss a show, and please leave us a review there as well, gunguyradio.com/iTunes. Also, please consider joining the NRA and also the Second Amendment Foundation. There are links there in the show notes. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. This is Ryan Machad. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. Are you looking for an extraordinary daily carry option? Look no further. Car Arms is giving away a P9 with night sights right here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's Car's EDC drawing. To enter, simply become a Patreon of any Firearms Radio Network show. Current patrons are automatically entered. But wait, there's more. Keybar, Hellbent holsters, Alien Gear holsters, Precision Ear, and more have ponied up to enhance your EDC loadout. See all of these awesome prizes and more ways to enter at firearmsradio.tv/EDC.